Rugda, I think we can start. We have 15, 16 participants.
हाँ हाँ एकदम.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to ninth weekly knowledge session on indirect taxation. So, today we have a special guest with us, Advocate C.R. Rupdas Gupta from Kolkata. So,
Yes.
welcome, Rupda. So, we'll just start with our discussion. So first, we have a very, very important judgment of Instacart Services Private Limited by by Bangalore High Court, Karnataka High Court at Bangalore. So in this judgment is regarding section number 16(2)(c). So section 16(2)(c) says that the tax has to be paid by, in case of forward charge, the tax has to be paid by supplier of goods or service. Only then the recipient will get the credit. So in this case, Karnataka High Court has held that they have read down section 16(2)(c) to say that section 16(2)(c) will only be applicable in cases where there is no bona fide transaction. So in case of bona fide transactions, section 16(2)(c) will not be applicable. So even though they have upheld the constitutional validity of 16(2)(c), but they have read down this provision to only non-bona fide cases. They have also relied on judgment of Division Bench of Tripura High Court in case of Sahil Enterprises, as well as Guwahati High Court in National Plasto Molding. In VAT regime also, we had few judgments of Delhi High Court as well as Supreme Court, wherein in context of Delhi VAT Act, the Delhi High Court as well as Supreme Court held that Delhi VAT had a similar provision. So the provision we have in GST 16(2)(c). So in Delhi VAT, we had a similar provision which said that when the supplier pays the tax, only then the recipient can avail the ITC. So in that case, Delhi High Court as well as Supreme Court, the name of the case was Onquest Merchandising by Supreme Court. So in that case, the Supreme Court held that only in non-bona fide cases or mala fide cases, the recipient can be punished. But in bona fide cases, if the recipient has paid the tax amount to the supplier, then the ITC cannot be denied because of the reason that supplier has not deposited that tax with the department. So on similar lines, now we have a judgment in GST also of Karnataka High Court. So Guwahati and Tripura High Court was earlier there, but they were small high courts. Karnataka High Court, being a very significant high court, the judgment is going to have a lot of repercussions. So if, especially if you see, a lot of department notices have been issued, wherein department has denied the credit of recipient on the ground of 16(2)(c). So after coming of this judgment, how all those notices will be impacted, whether the department will come up with some amendment or what measures will be taken by department, that we will have to see. Arupda, you have any comments on this?
Yes, I think one important thing to see is that now when 16(2)(c) is challenged, they are saying that the fact that the tax charge in respect to such supply has actually been paid to the government. So this is not something that is in my control to check. So even if you read the judgment of the Honorable Tripura High Court, that is where they have mainly laid down that you are not giving me a system or a process through which I can do that checking. At the most, what can I do? I can check from the filing tab where I go to search as taxpayer and I check the filing of the particular supplier. I can check whether it's 1 and 3 is filed. But that is not a substantive compliance to say that the invoice against which I have taken the ITC that invoice has been paid. So I think this is a good judgment that we can rely. We have already been arguing on these grounds, but coming up with these judgments of Instacart and Sahil Enterprise in Tripura, I think it is a wonderful move. And also, we should take up this ground also wherever we are facing such situations.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have judgment of Bengal Cold Rollers Private Limited by Telangana High Court. So in this case, what happened is department conducted search and seizure proceedings at the assessee premises and seized a lot of documents from the assessee. department photocopied those documents. Later on, some of the original documents which department sees, those documents were lost. So on the basis of photocopy, the department issued a show cause notice to the assessee saying that these were the documents which we found, and basis this, these are the allegations we have leveled against you. The assessee asked for the original copies, and the department said that we do not have the original copy available. We only have the photocopies available. So, basis those photocopies, we have issued this show cause notice. So, the assessee went to the High Court, and what the High Court held is that the adjudication can only be done on basis of those documents, original documents, which are available with the department. So, if some of the original documents have been lost by the department, and only photocopies are available, then those documents cannot be used at all. So the High Court ordered the department to issue a fresh show cause notice, only considering the original documents which are available with the department. So I think again that is a very good judgment, because in case of search and seizure, we have seen in a lot of cases that first of all department takes away a lot of documents. Uh, Even at the time of issuance of show cause notices, if you submit an application to the department that give me back all the documents which you seized from me, so only the non-RUD documents, the documents which have not been relied upon the department only gives back those documents to the assessee. The relied upon documents are not even given at the time of show cause notice, but they are given rather much later to the assessee. So with these kind of judgments, it is very beneficial for all the assessee, because assessee can at least say that since I do not have the original copy of those documents and department has not given me original copies of those documents, then department also cannot rely on those documents to issue a show cause notice. So these kind of judgment will help a lot in those cases where these documents have been seized by the department. Any uh, words, Aruzha?
Yes. So here, actually, what we tell clients always is whenever there is an investigation going on against us and the documents are taken through the INS 02. So please ensure that whatever documents are being taken, no, sometimes in a rush, what do they do? They just give the box numbers and the file numbers and they move away. So it is always imperative that after the search is complete, after they have gone away, we make a total list and we submit a list that all this list, this purchase from April to May, say April 21 to May 24 has been taken by you. The sales bill have been taken. These vouchers have been taken. So we make a complete list of all those things because sometimes this particular situation arises that wherein when the show cause notice has been given to me, it is given to me without any proper RUD or whatever documents they have available, they are giving it to us. Because in one of our clients' case, also similar thing had happened. The one of the teams they've lost. So two things are very important here to take away from this particular judgment. One, as soon as your investigation is commencing and they take away the documents to INC 02, we make a total list of all the documents because we have a knowledge of what documents they have taken and we submit it before the authorities that this is the list of total documents that have taken through INS 02, whether that is included in there or mentioned or there or not. Secondly, as soon as your time for the documents is over, say which is 6 months, we should actually just start harping on that, give me the original documents so that we can get onto it. Because many a times that also does not happen. They don't issue the order, so they don't issue the show cause notice, and at the same time, they are also not returning the documents. So this order is the honorable judgment of the High Court is important from both these aspects.
Great, sir. Okay, so moving on to the next judgment. So this is a advanced ruling of customs. So I think someone asked to repeat the name of the previous judgment. So this is the judgment of Bengal Cold Rollers Private Limited of Telangana High Court. I will also repeat the citation. So citation is 2026 VIL 306 TEL. Okay, so now coming back to the new judgment. So we have advanced ruling of customs authority in the case of Vivo Mobile India Private Limited. So in this case, what happened is Vivo imported some goods for used in manufacture of mobile phones. However, during that manufacturing process, some goods go into manufacturing of mobile phones, while some goods are usually not, during the manufacturing process, they either get scrapped or due to some or the other reason, they do not form part of the final manufactured product. So either the product got scrapped or the material got consumed, or due to any XYZ reason, the product which was imported, it is not part of the final manufactured product which leaves the factory of the assessee. So, in this case, the advanced ruling authority held that if you see the notification number 57 by 17, which is the notification which gives effect to IGCR rules, import of goods at concessional rate of duty rules. So that notification clearly says that the uh, exemption is available for goods for use in manufacture. So the advanced ruling authority interpreted that to mean that when the goods are intended to be used in manufacture of specified goods, then the benefit is available irrespective of whether the goods were actually used or not. So, and this is very, very important because the emphasis of the advanced ruling authority on the intent part is very important. So, what the basic ratio of judgment is that if law says that something is intended to be used in a particular way, and the assessee does that act from that intent, but actually is not able to fulfill, then also he will be eligible for the benefit. So, a simple example to clarify, GST ITC. So if we see section 16 of CDST Act, it says that wherever the inputs are used or intended to be used in the course of furtherance of business, then the ITC shall be available. So if assessee purchase a particular input or input service or capital goods intention with the intention to use in its business, but due to any XYZ reason, he is not able to use that particular inputs or the input services, then also he will be eligible to get the ITC because the intent was always to use that particular goods or service in the business. So I think we also have a lot of judgment on this particular issue earlier also, but since this ratio is very significant from GST law perspective, so that is why I picked this judgment so that we can have some discussion on this particular topic also. Arudha, you
And
are.
I think, yeah. And I think one more important thing is that many times we are asked, like initially we are being asked, that why is in the section 16 the word mentioned used or intended to be used? Because GST has actually increased the horizon. Because unlike the earlier regime, wherein used that one-to-one correlation, all those things are connected. But in GST, that correlation has been broken. So intended to be used is also very important. That for this particular judgment comes into use from there. Like when I am selling de-oiled cake, which can be used either as a fertilizer or as an animal feed. Both of them have a different classification. Now, when I'm selling it as an animal feed, do I take declaration from everybody that they are going to use it? Do I take photographs? I cannot do that. So ultimately, what is important is that that person who is buying from me, what is his nature of business? He is into cattle feed, or he is into trading of cattle feed, he is into livestock business. So that ensures that okay, it is intended to be used for that. Now, whether it is used for that or not, that is not the thing that I as a supplier have to ensure. So I think these judgments will also be important there, where classification issues regarding utility, where the utility is happening, that is also brought into question.
Thank you, sir. So moving on to the next judgment. So
Yeah, Mohit,
next,
I have a little doubt here.
yes,
Uh,
sir.
yeah, this is Hemant from Hyderabad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, like this used or intend to be used, or to what extent we need to see this? Like, if you see, like, I'll take an example of, let's say, near the factory, I have built a residential colony. Like for the expenses which is incurred or for maintenance of the colony, where our employees of the factory will be residing, whether that expenses can still be said like I'm using for my business. What is your view for this?
No, Hemanti, that is again an aspect of furtherance of business, whether it is for furtherance of business or not.
Hmm.
that would not squarely fall under used or intended to be used, because whether that is for furtherance of business or not. Now, if you see the case of all these coal miners,
Yeah,
okay, or these metal extraction firms. So for
yeah.
them, I am keeping somebody at a distant place where from railway station, the place is around 50 kilometers and there is no habitat, no house there. So I'm building up that colony, I'm constructing that colony, I have to keep them. So there I can say it's a for furtherance of business, because without that, if I cannot build that colony, if I cannot make my people stay there, then they're not going to work there, and I cannot continue my business. But otherwise, in general parlance, wherever I'm constructing a colony, wherever there is a natural, there are people staying around there, and I'm just building a colony and or constructing the roads. There are judgments even in the earlier scenario that this will not be for furtherance of business directly. So there, I
Okay.
think it will be a bit of controversy will be there, because, but yes, in the case of where I can link it that, I had to keep this colony, or I had to prepare this guest house because my people cannot travel every day 100 kilometers. So I'll not
Mhm.
find any employee there. So it's a challenge for me. So it's important for me to construct it and also maintain it. There we can take the ITC of maintenance, not the construction, but the maintenance.
Okay, got it.
That
Thank
is
you.
my view.
Yeah.
And I
Thank you.
think we also have a lot of judgments in income tax pertaining to Section 37, wherein the courts have held that you cannot question the business expediency from the assessee.
Yes.
So if the assessee
So
believes
in
that
India.
particular expenditure is necessary for running his business, especially the employee welfare expenses, then they should be considered in the course of business only.
Yes.
So similar logic should be applied here also.
Maybe, yeah, maybe sometimes what department is saying is they are treating it as a personal expenses and disallowing under 17.5. So they are interlinking it, even though it is for business.
Yes.
17.5, they are treating it as a personal consumption and disallowing it. Yeah, anyway, disputable.
Yes.
So section
Yeah,
17.5 is then a second step, because section
yeah,
16 is first step. We have to see whether the ITC is eligible as per section 16 or not. Then section 17.5 is step 2, because section 17.5 overrides section 16. So even if you are eligible as per section 16, if your ITC is prescribed in section 17.5, then also it is blocked. Although I have a slightly different view on this particular issue, because if you see Senate Credit Rules 2004,
Yes.
so therein the language was for personal use of the employees. But if you see Section 16.5, it says for personal use. So in my view, see, because the whole act is read qua the assessee. But when we say the goods are used in business or furtherance of business, that means business or furtherance of business of assessee. So when you read section 17.5 and they have not written anything, so the whole line should be read as for personal use of the assessee. So if as a company any expenditure is incurred for personal use of the company, only then it should come in section 17.5. Otherwise, it should not come. But again, that is my interpretation. Department has been very, very aggressive in this view, and they are clearly denying all these kind of employee residence related ITC. Is it? So moving on to next judgment. So next judgment we have in the case of Avik Televentures Private Limited by Delhi High Court. So in this case, what happened is the assessee on the date of hearing itself, the order was passed. So, in normal cases, the order was getting time barred on 31st December 15, as we have seen in a lot of cases. So, on 31st December 2025, the time limit for order was getting time barred. So, the department fixed the date of hearing on 31st December itself, and after granting the hearing, on the same date itself, the order was passed. So in this case, the High Court said that in no effective opportunity of hearing is being given, because after the date of hearing, after the hearing has been done by the department, after that the department has to give some time to the assessee to collate the document. So let's say in hearing some discussion was done that okay, these are the documents which you need, these are the clarifications you need. Then the department should give time to the assessee to collate those documents. So, in case the department has granted a date for the personal hearing and passed the order on the same date, then there is no effective opportunity being given to the assessee. Especially if you see cases of all the e-way bill related detention, especially in North India, it is a very common practice for the department to issue show cause notice, notice of personal hearing, as well as order in original on the same date itself. So in that case, it is even a more clear case of a more clear case wherein opportunity of being heard is not given because the show cause notice and order itself was passed in a single day. So in those kind of cases, what the department has actually done is department has effectively done away with the use of show cause notice because what is the need for show cause notice? White show cause notice, department gives you an opportunity that these are the allegations against you. Give us a reason why these allegations are false. Give the documents, give the supporting, give the reasoning, give everything. But when the show cause notice and orders are issued on the same date, or in this judgment, when the date of hearing and date of order is the same date, then it can be said that there is no effective opportunity being given to the assessee. So again, see if you see a lot of these many issues, especially when these timelines come close. So 31st December, we had the timeline for 1819 order. Similarly, in 31st March 2026, we had the timeline for the 1920-74 order and timeline for filing appeal for 1819. That is a separate matter. But especially when these due dates or the last month of these due dates come, the department starts sending these hearing date notices and orders in a very haphazard manner without giving proper opportunity to the assessee. So in all these kind of matters where proper opportunity was not given, in all these cases, the proceeding itself can be challenged, that the violation of natural justice, principle of natural justice was not followed, that was violated, and opportunity of being heard was not given. So, apart from all the ground on merits, these technical grounds also become very important if you want to escalate the case to a higher forum.
So here I would like to ask the House that if you face a similar situation wherein either your, like if you're from the industry, your company or your client, they have received a similar order, what would be your stand? Would you go to the appellate authority or would you go to the High Court? What would be your stand?
High Court, see, first of all, we have to see which High Court we are talking about because
No,
the
I'm saying in general, the I think the view of the House, though what the
Yeah,
members are thinking. Do you think that in such cases we should go to the High Court or we should go to the appellate authority?
sir, it depends on the amount involved, sir. Like if
Okay,
because a lot of cases, like if the demand is more in crores and all, it will be very difficult for the business person to have a free deposit, go to follow this affiliate route and all.
right,
So instead of that, since the question, the primary question here is like the opportunity of being heard is not followed, so it's a good case for the High Court to accept it
right.
instead of going for the facts and all.
So what
Maybe
Hemanji is saying is that depending on the quantum, since if it's a high pitched assessment where I have to pay a huge amount of pre-deposit, so since pre-deposit is a decision making factor, so I'm going to the High Court. Any other view of any other member? Any other view that whether we should, if we go to the appellate authority, why, or if we go to the High Court, why? Why I'm asking this question is, in many of these matters, we actually go to the appellate authority. Like even where amounts are high. Then after that, when we go, say, now we have the tribunal, but in between we didn't have the tribunal. When after the appellate authority, you go to the High Court, there the challenge you face is that the High Court will ask you, why didn't you come to us first? So ideally, in all this, because see, the origin of principle of natural justice is in the judgment of Binapani De. Okay, it's a famous judgment of Honorable Supreme Court from Odisha High Court. It went to the Honorable Supreme Court, and with that, the judgment of Orgatilis by Bombay High Court, which further went to Supreme Court. In both these matters, what was laid down as law is that principle of natural justice is not a ritual, not a custom. कि मैंने notice दे दिया, there is a date I have given to submit your reply. I have given a date for personal hearing. Whether that is 2 days, 7 days, it doesn't matter. I have not given the proper date. I have given 3 dates to you. Come on any date. So in both of these, they have said that whether it is important for the person who is replying That whether he or she can give a reply, whether they have a justification or not, that is not important. What principle of natural justice says is that the person against whom the allegation has been brought in, he or she should get an appropriate time to defend that allegation. Because in Olga Teles, it was raised in the Bombay High Court that these people are are dwellers in the pavement. तो पेवमेंट में जो रहते हैं उनका क्या राइट है? उनको अगर हम निकाल भी देंगे, एविक्ट भी कर देंगे, तो वो क्या कर सकते हैं? व्हाट विल बी देयर रिप्लाई फॉर एविक्शन? So Honorable Supreme Court, that you don't have to see what will be the reply. The thing is that we have to see that whether they have a right to reply or not. So my suggestion would be that in all such cases, if the client is okay with the appetite for going to the High Court, because the costs are also involved, timelines are involved, we should always go to the High Court first, and with the liberty that in case the High Court is not accepted, then maybe we can come for the appellate authority. Why? Because in most of these cases, since there's a gross violation of principle of natural justice, if we go to the High Court, so what will happen is that the matter will be remanded back to the original authority, and once it get back remanded to the original authority, maybe you can present your case, and if it's you have the submissions, maybe the matter will be either reduced or dropped. But if we go to the appellate authority, there we are extinguishing our right to fight this particular thing before the Honorable High Court, because then it becomes much damp or much weaker. So that's why I think this judgment is important to understand that whenever we are taking a call that whether we should go in appeal or High Court, we should have this thing in mind that if this matter has sizable quantum of demand and also there is a gross violation of principle of natural justice, the first door that we should knock is of the Honorable High Court. And as Mohit was saying, that depends on the High Court. But as I'm appearing in around 5 to 6 courts, what I've seen is that, yeah, in some courts, it is easy to defend. You just come with your opening line that, my lords, there is a gross violation of principle of natural justice, there is excess in jurisdiction that is taken, and the courts are kind enough to give you a view. And some courts, we have to argue much at length. But what I've seen is that courts always appreciate. And another also piece of suggestion that I would give, if you are planning to go to the High Court, please don't delay it for 3 months. Do it at the earliest possible opportunity so that even if you file within 15 days of getting the order, by the time your 3+1 days plus 1 month of extension for the appeal period gets over, you get an order from the High Court for interview. So that is also another thing that we need to keep in mind.
Right, so right. So moving on to the next last judgment. So we have judgment of CSTAT, High Court only, Bombay High Court in case of Shisha Sky Lounge Hospitality and Services Private Limited, wherein this was given in context of service tax regime. So in this case, the amount of show cause notice was above 50 lakh. But the department did not issue a pre-show cause notice. They directly issue the show cause notice. So, first of all, I'll brief you regarding the legal provisions. So, in service tax regime, our circular was issued by the CBEC, erstwhile CBEC, that any show cause notice wherein the amount involved is more than 50 lakhs, first the department has to mandatorily issue a show cause notice. Only after that, mandatorily issue a pre-show cause notice. Only after that, and having discussion with the assessee, then show cause notice can be issued by the department. So in this case, the pre-show cause notice was not issued by the department. Rather, the department directly issued a show cause notice. So again, this is a sort of a settled ratio because in service tax we have a lot of judgments wherein it was held that if above any for any show cause notice above 50 lakhs, pre-show cause notice is mandatory. But the reason I included this judgment in today's discussion is to have this discussion in context of GST regime also. Because in GST regime, if we see, first of all, there is no circular by the department. We have a provision of free pre-show cause notice in DRC 1A. Earlier, rule used to say that the department shall issue a DRC 1A. Then the provision was amended to say the department may issue a pre-show cause notice. We have judgments of lot of high courts wherein the high courts have held that before the amendment period, pre-show cause notice was mandatory in all the cases. irrespective of amount, because nothing monetary limit, nothing is prescribed in the rule. So before the amendment of the rules, the issuance of pre-show cause notice was mandatory. If show cause notice was issued directly, then that was in violation of the said rule. And after the amendment, now department has the discretion to either to issue or not issue pre-show cause notice. So we have seen different department in different places following different practices. So some of the departments issue pre-show cause notice. Some of the departments do not issue pre-show cause notices. So, Arubda, what are your views? Whether in today's date, if a assessee gets a show cause notice without any pre-show cause notice, so whether in today's date, do we have any ground to say that pre-show cause notice should have been issued?
So I think there is a huge discussion on the may versus shall interpretation of statutes. We have gone back to our CA final days. जहाँ पे हम लोग पढ़ते थे interpretation of statutes. So because I was recently in AP High Court and there we had there was a discussion going on. But ultimately most of the High Court they have been holding that since it's become May. So now that mandatory issuance of DRC 01 is not there. So that is a view taken by most of the honorable High Courts. And but at the same breath, they are also saying that why DRC 01A is been introduced in the system, that also we need to understand. Pre-show cause notice, the main purpose is that if there is some material evidence against me or there is some allegation against me, maybe there are at times which are not appropriately understood by the proper officer, appreciated by the proper officer. So if he gives a pre-show cause notice, which is not a show cause notice, I at least get an opportunity to clear that doubt. Like in one of our clients' case, what had happened is that the 1-3B mismatch was taken from another registration number and DRC01A was issued. So since it was a 1A, so it was much easier for the officer to drop also because we could just demonstrate. So this is not our data. One is also not ours, 3B is also not ours. So kindly check at the data and then you can comply with it and then finally we could drop it. But if the notice is issued, then what happens for him? He has to record, he has to see everything, he has to check why one is not matching and all those things. So that is the objective. And when it was brought in central excise, why it was brought in? Because in many cases, the notices were firstly issued for high value items like 50 lakhs and above. But later on, it was seen that many facts which are stated in the notice, that itself was not right. So what was happening is that once you issue a pre-show cause notice, I am challenging the facts only. That you are telling me that I am not an educational institution, but I am actually an educational institution. This is my accreditation. These are my details. So the moment they see that in the pre-show cause notice, they could drop it. Because what happens is once the show cause notice is issued, we were coming up before the authorities and saying that, sir, I am a private limited company. I have to bring this under my contingent liability. So till it is not a part of my show cause notice, it's a part of my pre-show cause notice. I could still say it's just an allegation brought. I could clear it and I could get it dropped. But if it's a show cause notice, it's taking time to get settled, get dropped. So that was becoming a challenge. So I think in that regard, this judgment is important as far as service tax is concerned. But yeah, under GST now we cannot take the challenge anymore because it is already amended in 2020, and after that it's become May. So I think it's on a weaker footing now.
Right, so right. So that was all the judgments for today. Apart from judgments, we also have one very important advisory issued as regard to GST portal. So earlier, what used to happen is when we used to file APL 01 appeal on GST portal, the amount of pre-deposit is 10% of the disputed amount. So by default, the portal asks the assessee to give breakup of disputed and undisputed amount, and of the disputed amount, 10%, there was a column wherein 10% was auto-populated and non-editable, and the portal automatically used to calculate the pre-deposit amount. So in a lot of cases, that used to create a lot of problems. So for example, let's say the amount of pre-deposit is paid through DRC3 in advance, or in case of search and seizure cases where the tax was paid under protest during the proceedings, but later on the show cause notice and order was issued. Just last week also another advisory was issued wherein they said that the assessee paid some amount under protest and the department issued a nil demand order. Uh, Although actually the correct way was to raise the demand and then say that the tax should not be appropriated. So in all those cases, if the portal is automatically calculating that 10% amount and that 10% amount is not linked to the electronic liability ledger, the payment to the assessee has already made the payment, but that is not reflecting in the electronic liability ledger. So the portal did not use to allow the assessee to file the appeal itself. And as you all know, in GST, the complete appeal filing process is system driven, GST portal driven. So if you are facing any problem on GST portal, even the officers cannot help you because the officers also have to follow the protocol, the directions of the GST portal only. So if GST portal is not allowing you to do something, it becomes very difficult for the assessee to do it manually also. So again, then you have to most of the cases you had to go to High Court and get a direction to the GST department to accept the appeal. Now they have issued the advisory wherein they have said that the 10% column has become editable. So now the assessee can edit that column and then the officer will verify whether the pre-deposit amount is correct or not. And if the amount is correct, then the appeal can be admitted. So the assessee can change that amount to zero or any percentage, whatever they want. So, but two, three things we have to keep in mind is legal provisions have not changed. So, as per law, you have to deposit 10% of the disputed amount. So, just because this percentage has become editable does not mean the actual pre-deposit requirement has changed. So, this is only for those cases where, due to any reason, the assessee is not able to link the payment already made to the liability ledger. So in that case only, the assessee should edit that percentage. Second, is one recommendation from my side that whenever you are editing a percentage, along with the appeal, give a separate attachment of only 1 or 2 page, giving the justification for the editing the percentage. So let's say you have filed a DRC3 which is not properly linked. So then give details along with a copy of DRC3 that this is the appeal which I am filing. This is the tax amount of, let's say, 10 lakh rupees. 10% is 1 lakh rupees pre-deposit. I have already paid 10 lakh rupees in total, or I have paid this 1 lakh rupees through this DRC number so and so. So give a proper covering letter with all the proof to justify that you have actually paid the pre-deposit as per the requirements of law, and give it as a separate attachment, because if you give it in the appeal also, that is not an issue, but give a separate attachment also, because whenever department is going to verify, if the this letter is given as a separate attachment, it will be very easy for the department to check and verify. So Arubda.
Actually, this is brought up because from many of the grievance redressal committees, no, one grievance is going on to the council or to the board also, that in case of say, especially DGGI matters, what is happening is we are depositing a hefty amount, right? Say there is a show cause notice of maybe 10 crores, but we already deposited 2 crores under protest. So we have deposited under protest, but as per the order, it is 10 crores. It is not that because of 2 crores is under protest, so that is not there. So in many cases, it was not allowing us to, show that as a pre-deposit. So that is one advantage. And apart from that, as you have rightly shared, that where many we have paid through DRC 03, we could not offset earlier. Now 3A is there, so we are doing all those offsets. So I think in those cases also, this can be properly used, or else the appeal was getting stuck. So that was the main thing. But as you have rightly pointed out, that is one very important thing which we have seen recently missed in one of the situations is that they have not submitted as to why. Because this fixing of the thing, no, it has been done in the last 6 months. Before that, it was again flexible. We could alternate the thing. So during that time, many people put zero and they have submitted. But they have not attached to the appeal that why it is zero, why pre-deposit is zero. So because of that, the appeal was rejected. So I think your suggestion is very important that even if the appeal percentage is zero now, we have to properly lay down as to why it is zero. So that is very important. Or else it will again lead to a second round of litigation.
Agreed, sir, agreed. So I think that marks the completion of all the legal discussion we wanted to do today. So now we'll take up the queries of the participants. So first we'll take the queries from the participants who are on the call, and then we also have received some queries. So we'll move on to those queries after that. So any of the participants have any queries, they can either type in the chat box or they can just unmute themselves and ask the questions. I think so. हमारे
Ask
पास
a question.
yes sir, please.
Recently, through a lot of notices have come for section 122(1)(a), and they are issuing notices for 1920, 2021 also, whereas the section itself comes around 2021. So, should we directly go to High Court, or should we file a reply to that first? What is your take on that? Section 122(1)(a).
Yeah. So 121A is inserted with effect from 1/1/2021. So if it is issued for financial year 1920, I don't think it is legally valid. So that is beyond jurisdiction, and so in those cases, we should go to the High Court only, because 2021, if we see, the period covered is the January to March only, because the amendment has come from
Yes,
1st
yes.
January 2021. So that is beyond jurisdiction strictly, because you
And
cannot.
should we go in the name of director, or can we incorporate company also?
No, it depends on whose name the notice has been issued actually.
Okay, that is in the name of director then.
Yeah, so ideally the director should go in his personal capacity only.
Okay,
So I think so one
thank you.
judgment maybe just 2 3 weeks was issued by Delhi High Court also, wherein they said that this section 122(1)(a, so even though they have written the word person, but that term should be ready to mean a taxable person. So the penalty under 122(1)(a cannot be issued in person, cannot be levied in personal capacity to directors. It can only be levied to those persons who are either registered or liable to be registered under GST law. So those penalty, any which case, cannot be levied on director. So we already have, I think this judgment came in the month of March only. So that will
Can you
also
please
be a
name
very
the
good
case
support.
if you have the name?
So that I'll check and share. So I'll
No
share
issues, no
in
issues, no
the
issues. Thank you so
WhatsApp group.
much. There is also one Musk India Limited case wherein they have challenged for earlier period also, and they have succeeded, I guess.
So for other general, it is a very, very settled principle that, especially in case of penal provision, the assessee, any person, they should know at the time of committing that offense that there is a penalty on that offense. So in 2020, when that provision itself was not there, the person committed an offense. So now the law cannot, after 1 year, say that with retrospective effect, I am going to levy this penalty on you. And in which case, the provision itself was prospective. So the date of
And one more
provision
interesting
was
thing is,
prospective.
notice was issued in the name of company, whereas orders came in the name of the directors also.
So that also that then means clearly the orders are invalid, because order cannot go beyond the show cause notice. So if the show cause notice was issued in the name of company, then order can only come in the name of company only. Order cannot be issued in the name of director.
Thank you.
Yours is a very good case to go for the High Court. You have 3 4 very very sound legal grounds. So any other
But
participant?
Rohit, I just had one query. So in
Yes, sir.
the have they created a temp ID for the
Yes, yes.
director, or how have they issued the notice
They
in the
have
name of the
created
director?
ID and they've issued orders in that only.
Acha, no, फिर ना, what I would request, you submit before going to the High Court, you submit a letter to the department also that you have not got the
Okay.
notice in respect of this order, because in many of these orders, you know what they are doing the temp ID and issuing the
Yes.
notice physically, and later on they say
In
that
our case, what
just
has
got
happened
returned from
is,
the house.
sir, in our case, what has happened is they have issued notice in the name of company, and in one they stated that they are going to leave 122(1)(a) on your directors.
Acha.
And then later on, they created a temporary ID in that directly without giving separate notice or separate SC into the directors.
Then that's a very good ground, because what we do in this particular cases is we submit a letter to the department, firstly to say, give me the credentials of my temp ID. That give me
Yes.
the user ID, password, phone number, email ID used for the temp ID. That is the first thing.
They called us. They
Yeah.
took our email ID and mobile number, and they created this temporary ID for us.
So then you can check by register
And
by
one more, I just add
there
on
you
one
can
more
check whether
interesting
the notice
fact.
has been issued or not.
Yes, yes. Just one more interesting fact. Before issuing order for the company, they've issued order for the directors. I mean, without putting charges on the company, how can they raise orders directly on the direct before putting the real culprit on the line?
No, that is wrong. Which already Mohit has already shared. The first allegation on the company has
Yes,
to
yes.
be labeled. Then only you can say that the director is the beneficiary out of the transaction.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much.
We have a few queries
Mahendra
in the
Jain ji.
chat box also.
Uh, So Mahendra Jain ji's case is that he's a travel agent. His client is a travel agent, and they are booking the flight and the hotels, and whatever the actual cost of the flight is. So if I'm booking a ticket from Indigo for 10 lakh for 10,000, so I'm charging to my customer 10,000 as a travel agent, and with that I charge my 200 rupees as my service fee, and of course 18% as my GST on the service fee. So this 10,000 which I am collecting from the client as reimbursement of expenses for the air ticket, whether I should show it in exempt supply or not. So my personal view on this is that we don't show it as exempt supply because this is categorically covered under Rule 33, pure agent. So since I am a pure agent, so Rule 33 says that this particular expenditure will not form a part of my valuation only. So it does not say that it is an exempt supply. Supply is taxable, but only for the limited purpose of valuation, this is coming out. And therefore, what we show it as is not a supply of, neither a supply of goods, nor a supply of services. So that way, we don't show it in exempt supply, basically. But there is a contrary view by the department where they say that it is an exempt supply and if to reverse the common credit. But mainly because in the tour and travel business, common credit is very less. So many travel agents, they don't get into this litigation. But where the common credit is huge, then in that case, this problem is there. But for all practical purposes, Rule 33, in my personal view, it should not be an exempt supply. Rather, it is clearly said that it will not be a part of the valuation. It is nowhere said that it is exempted from the supply. Moiji, your views?
Yes, sir, I agree. So in a lot of these cases, even the whether it qualifies as a pure agent, that also is a very big question. But we'll not go
Yes.
into that aspect because that is a
Uh,
separate discussion in itself. But yes, it there is legally, practically, it is better not to show it as exempt income.
And as Mohit just raised the issue, I'll just say because we are fighting a similar matter. अब जब कुंभ का मेला हुआ था ना तो उसमें एक चीज हुआ था कि all these travel agents, no, they were buying the air ticket at say 10,000 from Indigo because they are buying block tickets. 30 उन्होंने 30 seats का book कर लिया already and उन्होंने 10,000 per ticket का लिया according to the seat arrangement 10,000 11,000 जो भी है. But when they sold it, no, they sold it for 30,000 40,000. So this will be never covered under pure agent. Here they have to pay the tax on the entire amount collected. So here there is no concept of pure agent because conditions of pure agent is that whatever I'm paying to the vendor, that is the actual amount I'm collecting from my client or the recipient. So that is one of the conditions. Second condition is apart from this, I'm charging something else as a taxable service. Third is that I have an agreement. Fourth is that I'm not using that particular service. So all these things are okay. But say in this example of Kumbh or say Dubai Shopping Festival and all, they do this. So they buy the hotels at a particular rate and then they sell it at a much higher rate. So in that case, since I'm not informing the client of the buying price, I'll not be a pure agent. तो वो भी आपको थोड़ा देखना है.
Agreed.
Next is my dealer is a works contractor and registered in GST in Maharashtra and got a contract from dealer of Bangalore to renovate the property which is situated in Mumbai. My question is related to place of supply, whether my dealer should charge IGST or CGST. So, इसमें तो we just consider that since it's related to immovable property, so the property where the the place where the immovable property is based, that will be the place of supply. Here, since the immovable property is based in Mumbai, so ideally it should be the place of supply will be Mumbai. You are also based out of Maharashtra only, so it should be CGST and SGST. That is my personal view. I think in some cases the there is a difference that the clients they try to take because they want to take the ITC and all. So maybe the person subcontractor who's there in or the main contractor who's there in Bangalore, he will try to say that you give IGST Bangalore. But in my personal view, since the immovable property is in Mumbai, so it should be CGST and SGST.
Agreed, sir. Next, we have question of Sachin ji, that how to file appeal when time limit is expired 90 days plus 30 days. Can we go for revision and get revision order and then file appeal against the revision order? And so I think this is one of very, very good query and something which is faced by all the professionals. So at least for one of their clients, they must have faced this issue. So first of all, technical correction, the time limit to file appeal is 3 months plus 1 month. So again, a very common confusion because people generally believe it is 90 plus 30, but it is 3 months plus 1 month. And so revision and rectification. First of all, we also should understand these two concepts. So revision and rectification are different. So revision, which is there in GST law, that is somewhat similar to Section 263 of Income Tax Act. So revision can only be done by department in those cases where the assessee is in favor of, the order is in favor of the assessee and prejudicial to the department, and department believes it is incorrect. So revision can never be done in favor of the assessee. So as a assessee, the option of revision is always out. I think what you wanted to say is rectification under section 161. So even though we have seen in a lot of cases that assessees are adopting this practice, that they are first of all filing rectification request, then against the rectification order, they are going for appeal. So here, two cases I'll discuss. So let's say you have received a order containing four, five, six different points. You go for rectification, and in the rectification, some of the points are dropped, some of the points are not dropped. So in that case, department issues a separate rectified order that this is the rectified demand. So in that case, you are in a position to file against that rectified order, and again, the all the pre-deposit amount, and that will be based on the amount which is there in your rectification order. But in most of the cases, when the rectification demand is straight away rejected, so therein we have a lot of judgments in, especially in previous regimes, that if you file an appeal against the rectification rejection order, then the scope of that appeal is only limited to the question that whether the rectification request was correctly rejected or not, which means that whether there was a error apparent on record or not. So if the rectification request was incorrectly rejected, then the appeal will be accepted by the department. Otherwise, it will be rejected. But the department, a first appellate authority, will not go into the merits of the matter in that particular appeal. So, practically, again, we have seen cases where assessees have done this. They have filed an appeal, and department has also given a favorable order after considering the case on merits. But legally, if you ask my point of view, when you're filing appeal against the rectification rejection order, then the department will not consider your case on merits. In that case, what I would always recommend is go to a high court, especially in last 6 to 8 months, we different high courts have given so many favorable judgments. So I think just 2 3 months back, Bombay or Delhi High Court gave a judgment wherein they drew a distinction between communication of order and service of order. So they said that even though, as per Section 168, even if the order is communicated to the assessee, but till the time assessee has not seen that order, it is not served on the assessee. So the time limit of 3 months will only start when the assessee has seen that order on the GST portal. Then Allahabad High Court, we have various judgments wherein earlier the additional notice and order tab used to be there. So if the order has was uploaded in that additional, although now that both the main order and notice and additional now they have merged, but for the previous period when the additional notice tab was separate, so in that period, if your order was placed in additional notice and order tab, then you could file a writ on that particular issue. Or so we different high courts have given different favorable judgments as well as adverse judgments. So I will not say that the judgments are only one-sided. Various high courts have come against also that if the order is uploaded on GST portal, then 3 plus 1 month has to be seen from the date of that uploading also. But nevertheless, going for writ petition is always a better course. And again, so whenever you're going for writ petition, you can always you can ask for the relief that if the writ is dismissed, then you can ask for the leave of the High Court to file a rectification or to file a rectification. But at a first instance, going to High Court is always better in these kind of cases.
Yes. And after the recent judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court, which said that the tribunals, they don't have the right to condone the delay in filing of appeals. So therefore, the only authority who can, or only forum which can give us a liberty to file the appeal again, or the appellate authority to hear the appeal again, would be the Honorable High Courts. So it's always better that if 30 days, 90 days, 3 months plus 1 month is over, and you don't have the like any other forum to go, like your rectification is also not on a suitable footing. We have to understand that in many cases we are seeing that many are filing rectification, but there has to be a mistake apparent for the record, because 161 says mistake apparent from record. So there is some clerical mistake. There is something where it says that the exemption in this under such particular circular is allowed, but after that he is again confirming the demand. So when he is saying that exemption is allowed, then how can he confirm the demand? So all these are mistakes apparent from record, for which we can file the 161 application for rectification. But ideally, if this 90 days, 3 months plus 1 month is over, then what you need to do is you need to check your order, that what are the violations of principle of natural justice, where there is a problem in jurisdiction, and invoke the High Court directly, saying that on this particular ground, maybe please be remanded back to the original authority, and we'll go with the original authority and again explain the matter to them. Or else, the second route which is available, as Mohit just shared, that is that if we're filing the appeal after a delay, giving the delay of confirmation, and then we are going to the High Court and again saying that, okay, this is the reason for delay, that it was not within my knowledge. It came to my knowledge, it was communicated but not served, like in WhatsApp. Whenever I'm sending a message to somebody, it's sent from my side. But until there is a blue tick, it is not an assurance that the other person has received the message. So similarly, department is sending, but I'm not receiving. So those grounds can also be taken. But ideally, instead of going for the rectification mode per se, it is always better to go for High Court directly, and then maybe try to get it back to the remand. Or if that is not there, having a prayer that okay, at least liberty to file the appeal. So that is very important. And the last query by Mahendraji, he's saying that there was a beneficial order in his favor, like regarding non-payment of late fees and penalty for delay in filing of CMP 08. The proper officer dropped it. Later, the matter was reviewed and the department went in appeal. So, Mahendraji, that is always allowed, because appeal can be done by both the sides. We both can be aggrieved. Even the taxpayer can be aggrieved by a decision. Even the department can be aggrieved by a decision taken by its officer. So, there, the honorable commissioners, they have the authority and the right to go in appeal. So, that's why they have gone into appeal. So, now we have to, in the appeal, we have to file the cross objection as to why this late fee and penalty is not payable. And accordingly, we have to seek the relief in the appellate before the appellate authority. But whatever the department has done, that is within the jurisdiction. They can do it.
So I was having a discussion with one other tax professional only, that till since tribunal was not established till now, even the orders which were issued in the favor of the assessees used to think that those orders are final. But
Yes.
once tribunal becomes fully operational, even the department is going to go into appeal in a lot of cases.
Yes.
A lot of
Yes.
those
Yes.
orders will come into question which have been decided in favor of the assessee. So assessees should be
Right.
prepared for that also.
Right. This is a very important thing. In fact, recently we had got a call from the department only, saying that, in this particular matter, the matter has been dropped, but we intend to go. But before, it was a refund matter actually. The review is going on. So they are saying that we want to review it again. So, as you rightly said, department may be going to appeal in tribunal. So thank you, I think, for the wonderful opportunity.
Yes, sir, it was our pleasure having you. I think the audience also really enjoyed interacting with you.
Yes. Thanks to everyone for the questions also, because questions are the things in GST which keeps us motivating and taking us forward.
Sure. Thank you everyone for your kind remarks, and thank you Arubda for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
And
Yes,
thank you
thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
So I think Darshil is asking, is there a way we can connect with Arup sir?
Yeah,
So
as always. I'll give my, I think, yeah, I'll give my number. So So this is my number. You can connect with me, or you can also connect with Mohit ji. We are also connected.
चलिए, thank you
Thank you very
everyone.
much. Thank you. Yeah.